in any given year in the video games industry, I think we always have a few highlights, a few misfires, and we've got the also-rans and the juggernaut franchises, but there'll be a game that'll come along, and it'll be like a breath of fresh air. It's something I've said again and again with this game, Walking Dead by Telltale Games, and it truly has been. Before we get ahead of ourselves, you're listening to Bunny Mo Mike, and I've also got Hannah Poppy with me here as well. And we're going to have just a little chat for about 10 minutes, hopefully take that out of your time, and talk about why we think Walking Dead has been such an absolutely wonderful game this year, and hopefully will lead to more, not only great games from Telltale Games, but actually change maybe a little sort of genre that has, I wouldn't say died a death, because it is ultimately a point-and-click adventure, but it's been revamped and updated, and it's had the good stuff brought forward, and it's had the old stuff that would leave me absolutely cold to any point-and-click adventure. We're now left with a game that's garnered wonderful reviews, an absolutely fantastic sort of narrative and storylines and characterization. And we know that it's based on the TV program, which, Hannah, I know you and I have watched and enjoyed very much.
Very much indeed.
Yeah, we're up to season 2 with the TV program. It's not tied in with the TV program itself, but it's based in the same universe, even though there are a couple of characters very loosely.
You see a few cameos here and there. It's lovely.
You do indeed. You get to see Glenn and Herschel. Anybody who knows the TV show will recognise them. But as it happens in the game, you don't visually recognise them. And I think it's just more of a nod to the TV program.
There's Glenn here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, absolutely perfect timing. In the slideshow, of course, I knew that was coming as a professional.
Of course you knew.
Absolutely. We've played... It's very quickly turning into people's sort of top 5 favourite games of the year.
Yes, it's definitely my favourite game of the year.
Yeah, it has been... I'm desperately trying to avoid overusing the phrase a breath of fresh air, but it's truly that. I mean, we could play, anybody from a casual gamer to a hardcore gamer could play maybe 5 games a year or 50 games a year, and ultimately it's the stuff that contrasts with the rest of the games that you've played that really stands out from the truly atrocious games, because those will be an incredible contrast, just a negative one, to a very positive contrast. And the Walking Dead game series has been absolutely wonderful. I have not, I'll own up straight away, I've not played the Back to the Future Telltale game, which is supposed to be very good as well. And I've got to say now, looking at this, I'm very tempted to give Back to the Future a look.
Yeah, I might give it a go as well.
Yeah, that's something we should definitely look into.
This time you play the game and I watch.
Yes, indeed, yeah, because that's what happened this time around. I mean, that actually is testament to show you how great this game has been. I have sat down and watched Hanny play this game for all 5 episodes, each episode taking roughly 2 to 2.5 hours, with the last episode maybe just a smidge under. And it has been like an interactive novel and a film all wrapped up in one. It's basically provided entertainment, which we know that film and books cannot. They deliver it in a fashion which is sequential and simply not interactive. And this is where the gaming format, as someone who has enjoyed games all of my life, or nearly all of my life, and with Hanny studying game design and multimedia, it's something that we can both genuinely appreciate and sit there and say, we have so much more to come.
Oh yes, this is definitely an example of what games are becoming, and the possibility of what games can become. Just the fact that you, as someone who doesn't like to watch games, has watched this all 5 episodes or all 5 seasons with not only interest, but actually we wanted to know what happened, and we would talk about it after we finished the season, what would happen, and if we made the right choices. And it's riveting in a way. I've never seen a game that's been this well written and with this kind of dialogue and the choices you have to make. It's been absolutely wonderful, and it makes me very happy for the future, because I think there will be more games like this and the stories will become better and better, because gaming is becoming a medium in which we can do that now, and people are recognizing it as a more mature medium, as this game says.
Yes, Yeah, I think I absolutely agree. I think this. I don't know if it goes a long way, but in the little world that we occupy right now, actually, it does a very nice job along the lines of Journey, even though that is, absolutely void of dialogue. But it does It does a great job in telling a story. Obviously, the Walking Dead story is that much more complex, but it does a lovely job of showing you how we can deliver stories these days. And even though Walking Dead hasn't garnered sort of 10 out of 10s across the board, and I can sit there and say, no, I can see where we can improve the game. It had a certain budget. Telltale Games had a certain amount of money, a certain number of developers, and a certain amount of time to create this.
You can see it in the graphics as well. They're not, when you think you can play this on the PS3, they're not as high standard as, for example, Uncharted. But what they've done with it, with what they had, is very impressive, because all the characters and all the emotions are very believable.
Absolutely, great voice acting, and also an art style that just takes us, just a moment to get used to, and then you realise that it is can be both lovely to look at depending on the composition and the scenery of the shot, the cinematography there and then, but also functional with regards to getting the emotions across. I mean, we're looking at Clementine there, and the fear is palpable on her face. She's very scared. There's at one point in the game where you're teaching her how to use a gun because of these walkers. As they're often referred to, and it's something that it's something that's, I think, caught nearly everybody off guard. We've been told to play this by one of our members on TSA Nemesis, Wonderboy Phil, who's a very good friend of ours, and he said, I'm convinced that Hania will like it, but actually I think you will as well, and we have a debt of gratitude to him.
We do,
because we have thoroughly enjoyed this game.
It's been absolutely wonderful, and what I found really impressive was that it didn't feel like a point and click where you can just wait and find stuff. You really had to make choices, and you didn't have long to think about it at all, and every choice weighed so heavy on your mind without it feeling unfair. And that's a very difficult thing to do in game design, because the player needs to feel like like the choice is fair, but it also needs to be difficult enough where you feel like it has impact on the rest of the game, and that's what this game does very well.
Yes, because it makes a note of when you make these decisions, these light and not so light decisions about what's going to happen in the future, whether you greet people to the party, abandon them, whether you, in more key situations where you're full of panic and you're quickly choosing what to do.
Like
and it will let you know.
This will be an event where you have to do something very quickly or you just die.
Yes. Action isn't the name of the game here. What is this wonderful story being driven through the interaction of obviously you dealing with the game, but having these lovely defined characters. No matter how much you loathe some of the characters and how much you love some of the other characters, you have an incredible bond, for example, with Clementine, the girl on the left here, and yourself, Lee, who's the sort of lead protagonist. But ultimately, what you teach Clementine as well, as a girl who's growing up in this horrific world right now, is wonderful, because it tells you at the top of the screen, and it reminds you that she's remembered what you've said, and suddenly you realise the gravitas, the weight of your choices really matters.
Yes, sometimes you have to choose whether to save people or not. You have to choose which people you will feed or not. You will. I don't think this is a spoiler. You will get 4 pieces of food, and there are like about 8 people to feed. Who do you give food? And it makes people think differently about you as well.
Yeah, it's people are remembering, and you walk away from a conversation, and it will say to you up the top left in text form, it just says, such and such remembers what you've said, or such and such remembers your kindness, and you can expect to have this thrown back in your face if it's negative.
Yes, they will. They will bring it up later.
Absolutely, and equally, if it's a positive action, then they'll say, look, one of the characters, Kenny, he I remember him clearly in the game saying, you've always had my back as such, because we'd obviously sided with him a bit more, and it was lovely to hear that in the dialogue. It's truly, I feel interactive adventure stories is coming of age, and I'm so happy to say that The Walking Dead has had a really big hand in that. And not just that, what we've also got here is a vehicle, because ultimately Walking Dead is the choice that Telltale Games made, but we've got a vehicle here for and a foundation for any adventure story that people, any game developers fancy telling, because even though The Walking Dead is quite a laboured show, It's not like 28 Days Later, the film, where the zombies are running at you full pelt and it feels incredibly action-oriented. This is a far more deliberate program, and the universe that it's based on is from a comic book series, and the gaming universe as well is also based in that world. And there's no reason why this can't be embraced by other developers, and obviously Telltale Games in the future as well, because we have a Walking Dead Series 2, or a Season 2 I should say, for the game coming up, because obviously we've seen Back to the Future getting very good reviews. I think Walking Dead is a more refined version. I'm hoping someone maybe can let us know in the comments. But there's no reason, unless you can see otherwise, that this just can't carry on going. And obviously, depending on the budget, we will see better animation, better facial animation, better mocap. How do you feel about that?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is very suitable for especially story-driven things. So whether it would be based off a TV show or a film, or based off a comic or a book, it lends itself very well to it, because it allows you to follow the story very well, and that has always been the case with adventure games. I'm used to calling them point-and-click games, but with adventure games, because there would be loads of text and it would be all about the story and unraveling the story. And I think this way of point-and-click is very accessible to everyone, because it still feels very exciting at moments. And I remember times where I actually screwed up really, really bad, and you laughed at me because I made a panic choice.
Yes,
remember?
Absolutely. Yep, you were, I did enjoy your panic moments, and those moments, it went wrong, really wrong. Not just obviously your character
wrong.
Potentially dying, but it was just dialogue-wise, the choices you made, and suddenly arguments broke out, and...
Yes.
No, it
Sometimes
did,
you have to say something very quickly and make a choice between 3 answers, and you're like, oh my god, what do I say?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very clever, because usually that's not the case with dialogue, and it makes it much more interactive than it would usually be.
I think something to take you back to a comment you've just made about a minute ago, which is, I wouldn't say hit the nail on the head, but it is incredibly telling with how it can go, is that this is hugely story-driven, obviously. And what's lovely is, if a developer has a short story that they want to tell, there's no reason why we can't see a game come out that's of a similar sort of, like I say, a similar sort of vehicle of delivery, a method of delivery as such, yeah. And there is only one episode, and that is just a 2.5-hour game, and that game could be just £3-4.
Yes.
But also, equally, there's no reason why you can't have an incredibly well fleshed out game, which could have 20 episodes coming out over the next 3 years.
It could be like how we watch
investment.
series now, and it could be a family thing.
Exactly.
Because you like watching it and you don't like watching stuff. And
No, absolutely not. I watch the whole thing.
Yeah, and as a person who does like to watch things, it's very rare for me to see gamers who actually want to watch and see how other people play a game. And because it's so story driven, it's much like watching an interactive film or just a normal film. And I think it's more accessible to non-gamers as well, because of how much story driven it is.
Yes, it's that's very telling. Also, in how enjoyable the game is. Simply that I sat there and watched the entire game being played by Hani, and I enjoyed basically 12 hours of this being played out in front of me, because ultimately it was an interactive piece of entertainment that was delivered to us, and it felt very filmic, very TV-like as well. But obviously we have the choices we made, and I think what was lovely was that, and what's caught us, is that we've had so much emotional investment in this game. We've had wonderful games in the past where we've had our emotions invested. We've got people who will talk highly about Final Fantasy, people who will talk incredibly highly about the likes of Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. But with this, you invest straight away, because you are a strong lead character. You're looking after this lovely little girl, Clementine.
Yeah, you feel for her right away.
Absolutely, the bond is almost instant, because death is around the corner.
And you have someone to take care of, and I think that's not something you see well done in games much at all. Sometimes you have to take care of someone, but it becomes a burden easily, because like a mission where you have to escort someone and the person cannot die, and people hate those missions in games. But taking care of Clementine is the core of this game. It's the most important thing you do, and they've taken it to a level where you care more about the life of that little girl than your own, and that's very, very clever, because they've made it into such an important game mechanic that the game wouldn't have been the same without it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, its soul comes from that. I mean, as it happens in the game I've just mentioned now, Eiko, when you have Eiko leading around Princess Yoda by the hand, she is absolutely dependent on you. And she's also utterly useless. I might add, Clementine isn't. She's wonderful. But Princess Yoda is useless and dependent on you. I say she's useless, that's not fair. She does have a few tricks up her sleeve, but ultimately you feel this bond, and you're also holding a hand. Anybody who's played Eiko, you're almost tearing her arm off. You're just holding a hand, dragging around this incredible castle sort of fort type building in Eiko, and you can feel that bond. It's incredible. You know, you're
you do not want her to die.
No, absolutely, and not just that. You're talking to the screen. I mean, you and I said it when we saw a hairy sort of moment in Walking Dead. We would say, you know, come on, Clementine, come on, and you could feel yourself getting involved in it, which is wonderful.
It's true.
So it's there's an emotional roller coaster. It's absolutely fantastic. The characterization's been wonderful. The sort of story just drives itself along at a lovely pace. And it's lovely that you've got the flexibility to have new characters introduced, just like the TV program. I know we're up to the end of season 2, so we've got plenty to watch in season 3 as well.
We always wait at the end of the season until the next season is ready, so we don't have to wait every week for new episodes. We just want to be able to watch everything.
We are disgracefully impatient, so we wait until the entire season's available to us. So that brings us to the end abruptly, but there is good news, and that is we have 3 Steam codes for the game. Basically, we gave Telltale Games a shout. Hannah and I came up with the idea together there and then after we finished the game, and we wanted to do an audio slideshow, which is what this is.
Yes.
And we thought, or at least I thought, that it would be a lovely idea just to simply sort of pimp the item out and make it into a bigger article on TSA. And AG2297, Adam, our lovely friend, and also our community manager on TSA, very kindly got in touch with Telltale Games, and they have been absolutely fantastic with us as well.
Wonderful. Wonderfully
kind. A smaller studio again. I always go on about it. I find the smaller studios just incredible to deal with. They reaffirm everything to do with the games industry, all that's good with it. And they've given us 3 Steam codes. So don't forget, guys, that works on PC and Mac. And it means that you can win them. Yes. So what you need to do is just check the article. There'll be a question there. It'll ask you the question. The answer will be in what you've just heard somewhere.
Yes.
And simply get that off to us. And then obviously what we'll do is we'll pull the numbers out of the metaphorical hat of randomness, and 3 of you will be able to enjoy this. And actually, for anybody who is thinking of buying this and doesn't want to wait to see if you're going to win, or equally wants to buy it for a different device, I mean, don't forget that this thing is out on PS3, it's on the 360, it's on the PC, it's on the Mac, it's on the iPad, and it's on the iPhone as well.
It's even on the iPhone, yeah, that's what I'm most surprised about, that it will run on the iPhone.
Yeah, and these are full episodes, they're full episodes, and a friend of mine's already enjoyed his on the iPad. He's also tried it on the iPhone. Obviously, it's a little bit gimped, but only a little bit. He said, more than playable.
And it lends itself in.
Yeah, exactly, and play it with headphones. It's incredibly well suited to devices like an iPad. It's for him. He said he goes to bed and just lies down on his front, gets the iPad, fires it up, and has a Walking Dead episode. Has a game of that for a couple of hours, and it is a lovely game to just sort of kick back with and enjoy. So so good luck with the competition as well for anybody who enters. And obviously, unless you want to say anything else, Han, thank you very much for.
Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, taking the time to listen, and we will catch you guys soon. And obviously, if anything wonderful comes along and compels us to do another audio slideshow, and we get some good feedback, do you know what? To hell with all of you. To hell with all of you. We'll talk to ourselves merrily in the next one. Anyway,
yes, we will just rave about it together. And
whether you want to hear us or not. Yeah, exactly. We'll just record ourselves rambling along. But thanks again. And also, a huge thanks to Telltale Games as well, I've got to say. Been absolutely wonderful so far.
Yes, thank you very much. Very kind.
And best of luck to them with Season 2.
Yeah. And, I'm so excited for Season 2. I hope it's with Clementine again. It'll break my heart if Clementine's not in it.
No, if not, we'll have faith. Let's have faith.
Have faith. Cross my heart.
Have faith. Yeah, and we've managed to avoid any real spoilers, which is great. And actually, if anybody in the comment section can try and avoid some spoilers, that'd be lovely, because obviously this is an incredible series of episodes to enjoy. So, no spoilers, guys, if you can help it. Thanks very much, and bye for now.
Bye for now, everyone.